Welcome to the flight levels. You just passed your CFI checkride. Congratulations! Now, the standard path forward is to grab a headset and get a job working for a big flight school, right? Well, maybe not. Today we're talking about another option, which is becoming an independent flight instructor. Specifically, one who uses your own airplane to teach in. Let's get to it. If you're enjoying this content, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me continue making great videos like this. It also ensures you don't miss any upcoming episodes. First, let's be real about goals. If your goal is to hit 1,500 hours as fast as possible, then working for a flight school is what you want. They're going to keep your schedule packed. If, on the other hand, you want control, flexibility, and a different kind of experience, then working as an independent instructor might be the way to go. For me, that journey started with flying clubs. There are flying clubs that are constantly seeking independent instructors to serve their members. Basically, you work as an independent instructor. The members provide an airplane and you provide yourself. You get to set your own schedule, you get to set your own prices, and you even get to set up what payment methods you would like. At the same time, you may have to go through a process to be eligible to be an instructor in club aircraft. You may even have to pay monthly dues for your instructor privileges in the club aircraft. Depending on the club, you may find satisfaction in serving a wide variety of students in a wide variety of aircraft. There was a club I used to be a member of near San Francisco that had a Cessna Skycatcher, a 152, 172, 182, a couple Piper Warriors, and a Mooney. I found it very fun staying proficient in all these different makes and models. In addition to the different aircraft, the club had all sorts of different members with different needs. There were student pilots working on their private, instrument, or commercial certificates. There were members needing instrument proficiency checks or flight reviews. And then there were also members that were just wanting to get checked out in different aircraft. When the club acquired their first Mooney, the insurance policy required everybody have 10 hours in make and model. So since I was one of the few instructors eligible to teach in it, I was pretty busy for a while. As great as flying clubs are, they can have drawbacks too. Although the members share in the cost of all of the aircraft, they also share in the decision-making of the aircraft. Well, with a club in Colorado, there were some decisions being made regarding the club that I decided I could not be a part of, so I had to step away. Unfortunately, I still wanted to keep flight instructing. For 15 years, owning an airplane had seemed like an impossible dream. They always seemed financially out of reach. But now, still wanting to flight instruct, I needed to look at it more as a business. So after some financial gymnastics, I acquired a 1974 Piper Warrior. It had original paint, basic avionics, and an engine only a few hundred hours away from overhaul. It was time to start a business. When I began structuring the business, everybody told me, "Joe, you need to set up an LLC, which is a limited liability company. And those are usually really great at separating business assets from personal assets." However, an LLC would have offered me almost no protection for what I really needed, the potential negligence of my own instruction. You see, the liability protection that an LLC covers, it does separate the business assets from the owner's personal assets, but it only protects the owner from the negligent acts of an employee. Since I was going to be the only employee of this company, the LLC offers little to no protection. What I did need is just liability insurance. Speaking of insurance, this is where we get into a bit of a logistical nightmare. Getting an insurance policy for an independent instructor is not so bad. The problem comes with working with the city who owns the airport. You see, most of them require you to get a specific airport business license. And part of the eligibility to get such a license is to have, of course, your liability insurance, but also to name the city as an insured on the policy, not to mention very high minimum liability coverages. Honestly, I don't understand why this is how it is. Unfortunately, it's a non-negotiable hoop you have to jump through. Suddenly, all these great aviation insurance providers were unwilling to write me a policy that needed the airport named on it. So I ended up calling an aviation broker, and they were finally able to get me up with a policy that was able to cover my instruction, my airplane, and also name the city on the policy for a small fee. Okay, great. Now I had the airplane, the permits, and the insurance. What about clients? Well, luckily, I had a few clients stick with me from the flying club, and that was great. But as far as getting new students, I had to start advertising. I created a website, and I utilized Google Ads. The key to my early success was not just creating a website, but by mastering SEO, or search engine optimization. You see, when somebody Googles flight instructor near me or private pilot training, you want your results to be at the top of the list. I backed this up with strong Google Maps and Yelp's listings, and before long, I was getting regular email inquiries. So what is it like being the boss? In a word, fantastic. The freedom to run the business the way I want to is the biggest reward. I was in charge of every decision. I could choose what maintenance was done and when. I got to prioritize which avionics upgrades to do. I could also charge what I felt was appropriate for the aircraft and for myself. I suspect my students were assured knowing that I personally took care of the airplane they were flying. Unlike a big flight school where the maintenance department can be a black hole, the students knew the person overseeing the care of the airplane was sitting right next to them. This created a unique dynamic. I trusted them to fly my personal airplane solo, which instilled a huge sense of responsibility and pride in my students. At the same time, I was highly motivated to provide the best instruction possible to increase the chances of my airplane staying in one piece. It kept everybody highly motivated. As great as this setup was, there were some downsides. The worst, in my opinion, was letting my students down whenever there was maintenance. You see, only having one airplane whenever it was down for maintenance, nobody gets to fly. Luckily, most of the downtime was due just to scheduled maintenance. But as 50-year-old airplanes do, unexpected maintenance events did happen once in a while. And when they do, being the airplane owner, I'm the one on the hook. All aviation maintenance is a major financial event. Upgrading the avionics to be 2020 ADS-B compliant was a big hit that I had to take on myself. The biggest logistical hurdle? Office space. Since I wasn't tied to an FBO, ground lessons had to happen at either coffee houses, public libraries, or the FBO's public lounge. Luckily, students were pretty flexible and we could make it work. From a financial and tax perspective, using my own airplane for flight instruction worked out pretty well. Every expense from annual inspections to every gallon of fuel is a business expense. Every tax season, my accountant would prepare what's called a Schedule C document, which spells out all of your business incomes and all of your business expenses. Earlier, I had mentioned that I was able to set my own prices. And along the way, people have asked me with my low operating costs if I was able to keep prices low for my students. And this brings me to a concept that I learned as an MBA student, is that the cost of the goods sold has nothing to do with the price you charge for them. The price you charge has everything to do with the demand or what people are willing to pay for your goods or services. I began by setting my prices based on what I could see students were paying at other flight schools in the area. As my business became more established, I got a better feel for how much demand there was in flight training. There's a lot. As such, I slowly began to raise my prices, and If I ever questioned if I was raising my prices too much, all I needed to do was review how many inquiries I continued to get each week. If you're a new flight instructor, it's easy to undervalue yourself. When I took my first job in 2005, I was only paid $15 an hour because I didn't know any better. At least now in 2025, demand for flight training is still bananas. If you are a new CFI, don't be afraid to charge $50 or more per hour. You are in short supply. So there you have it. Life as an independent CFI with your own airplane. It's challenging, but the rewards in terms of control, quality of instruction, and financial returns, I highly recommend it if you have the means. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you considered this path? What's the biggest hurdle you see? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more, and please check out flight-levels.com. Remember, don't just fly, climb to the flight levels. If you enjoyed this video, click here to see my episode of planning an IFR flight into forecasted IMC weather. You're gonna love it.